As we near the end of the Sorceress skill list, we have the direct damage lightning skills that you will find yourself spamming into the face of demons, undead, and corrupted beasts all across Sanctuary, namely Charge Bolt, Lightning, and Chain Lightning. And if you're new to the game, you'll be wondering why two of them feel so much slower than other spells of the same tier. And well, that's because Lightning is special. Though to make it a bit confusing, it's only certain lightning skills that are that way, namely Chain Lightning and, well, Lightning Lightning. This is because these spells use a unique spellcasting animation compared to most other spells you'll encounter, though in a way most people won't recognize. Namely, they have the same action frame as other spells, just a longer post-cast animation. So if you cast a Fireball on the 5th frame of the animation, you'd cast Lightning on the 5th frame as well. It's just that you might take 4 frames to recover from the Fireball, but take 9 frames to recover from Lightning. Another interesting quirk of these two lightning skills is that the synergies only apply to maximum damage, not minimum. Meaning that as you dump points into their related skills, you will see the maximum skyrocket, but the only way you'll improve the minimum damage is by pushing your mastery up, though the difference that makes to your average is pretty minimal. As far as these two big ticket lightning spells kinda go, they both have their uses, with Chain Lightning being oddly enough a bit lower priority despite being the higher level skill. This is mostly due to its damage scaling and mana cost, which results in it doing far less damage to individual targets than its lower level companion, while also costing drastically more to cast. The reason for this drastic difference is because Chain Lightning is much more fire and forget. You can spam it and clear out swarms of enemies relatively easily as long as you hit something in the crowd, since it will automatically bounce among the valid targets, at least until it bounces to a certain limit. And it is worth noting that what you see is not always what you get with this skill, especially on older versions of the game, since the bounces you see are not always the bounces that happen in the actual code. That said, as you get more practice with the lightning skills, you will find that standard lightning will generally be your bread and butter out of the two skills, since it deals drastically higher damage for much cheaper. And once you get practice kiting the enemies into a line like you would do with something like Bone Spear, you'll find it's exceptional at decimating enemies along the way, since it stops for nothing short of a wall. This damage difference becomes much more apparent as you start dumping into synergies alongside them, since as we covered in the Mastery video, these boosts are applied before Mastery, creating a multiplier effect considering Lightning's base damage and growth rate from the synergies are drastically higher than that of Chain Lightning. And if that wasn't enough, instead of working on next delay, like Chain does, Plain Lightning uses Last Collide, which means when moving through a pack of enemies, it can toggle through them, sometimes hitting the same target more than once, especially if they're clumped really tight together. Now, the third spell of this episode thankfully is not nearly as fiddly as those two, and that is Charge Bolt, which thankfully doesn't have any weird casting speed offsets or weird next delays or such on the missiles, or even weird conditions on how synergies affect it. Though, much like the Amazon Charge Strike, this shotgun of a spell can be stacked on a single target, making it able to do some gnarly point-blank damage since it can cast up to 24 bolts into a single target with perfect positioning, and even without that, you can still get a solid number of them stacking up. And since Charge Bolt's minimum damage is scaling and is impacted by masteries, it can scale to some really solid average damage numbers against isolated targets, unlike its big brothers. And even just be used as a reliable area of effect spell too, since it can sweep out a lot of softer targets without much of an issue thanks to the ability to blanket a field with these more moderate but consistent damage numbers. So, have you ever ran a Lightning Sorceress? If so, did you go for the straight-firing Lightning Queen or more of the Shockwave Nova style? Mention it down below, and as always, keep gaming, have fun, and peace out. This has been Alzorath. Bye.